We have a lot to cover today. The MK party has suspended many of its parliamentary members. We also have a death of an icon in South Africa, and we also have Miss South Africa. A new Miss South Africa has been crowned, and Nigerians are not happy, and we're going to discuss all of it. But let's start here. The trending news on the political surface is that the MK party has suspended 18 of its parliamentary members, and a lot of people are not happy. A lot of comments are being said. Let's have a look at what the MK spokesperson actually said.
A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the second hour of our show. We start here. Mpho Dagada party says is replacing 18 of its members of the National Assembly. The bulk of them were sworn in less than 2 months ago on the 25th of June. For more on this, we're joined by the party's spokesperson, Ndlela. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks very much for your time. This is unheard of.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Why would you say it's unheard of? No, it is. It's possible, it's allowed per the parliamentary rules that you can replace members sworn in or not on the National Assembly. And this is what we're doing. I think maybe let's put context to this.
What happened?
Our candidate lists that were submitted to the IEC, in effect, was sabotaged. We even opened a case to that extent at the Sandton police station, where we cited certain irregularities of names that were input there that were not supposed to be there. One of those being the prominent President Zuma. I mean, our strategy was never to have him on the list in the first place, and only to then bring him on later stage, as we did with Judge Hlophe. Now, what has happened is we then communicated at the point of swearing in with the 12 members. Now, when I say 12, there's 6 names that were there that we never got sworn in, and then there were the 12 that were sworn in. And we had to communicate with them. And we engaged with them in a civil manner to inform them that this is the situation and that they have to be replaced. And when I talk about sabotage, I'm talking about people who are putting in friends, community members, and family members onto our list. And so we communicated with them that they have to be replaced at some point. So they're given 2 options as allowed by Parliament. We consulted with Parliament, and they decided to still go ahead and be sworn in, of which still is allowed by Parliament. Now that they're being replaced, there's nothing untoward. This is something they knew was going to happen, because the names that are now replacing them are the same names that were ought to be on our list in the first place.
Whose responsibility was it to compile the list?
There you have it. The MK party is replacing names for Parliament, and people are not happy. They're complaining. There's a lot of people that are saying all sorts of things, and this is what's going on. So the Rogues Gallery, this is what the Daily Maverick is saying. Brian Molefe, Lucky Montani, the MK party family members headed for Parliament. And basically, it explains that the former CEO of state-owned enterprises implicated in fraud and corruption may be headed to Parliament on the MK party's ticket in an unsurprising move that will shake South Africa's political landscape. The Mpho Dagada party, the Government of National Unity's official opposition, is reportedly planning to bring several controversial figures to Parliament. Among those slated for parliamentary seats are former Eskom CEO Brian Molefe, former PRASA CEO Lucky Montani, and former Transnet CEO Siyabonga Gama, all of whom have previously faced charges of corruption and relating to state-owned enterprises they once led. Now, a lot of people are saying all sorts of things on Twitter about this, but when I heard the spokesperson of the MK party speak, I understood, and I'll tell you why I understood. I understood because Arise South Africa is a political party which I happen to be the leader of, and like any other political party, when it comes to names and lists of who should occupy what position, these are heavily contested positions because they are monetary in nature, but also they do also speak for certain constituencies. And when a political party has not gone to conference and people have been able to vote for who should be their leaders from a conference, it becomes a bit tricky to decide who should be leading, what criteria should we use, what should be the chosen criteria. Now, I want to ask you, what should be the chosen criteria when a political party is new and you're choosing who should go to Parliament? What should be the criteria that you actually choose? Now, the Daily Maverick has further learned that the former South African Reserve Service Commissioner, Tom Moyane, who is also expected to take up a parliamentary seat, has decided to withdraw from the consideration. Instead, Moyane will pursue other interests, including activities within the party. According to the controversy, is the inclusion of individuals who appear to be close family ties to MK party leadership. The proposed list seen by Daily Maverick submitted to Parliament suggests that new members may include relatives of the party, the chief whip Sihle, and a relative of the party leader Jacob Zuma. The implications of these connections have fueled accusations of nepotism and tensions within the party. Now, there is a lot that's still going to happen. Like any other political party, when a political party is new and there hasn't been a conference to actually decide who should be the leader of that political party, a lot of these things happen. And this brings me to the point that many people have been saying, to say perhaps the way that we elect people in South Africa should change. Perhaps we should elect a president, and perhaps elections should be based more on independent candidates than it is on a political party. Because remember, if you had voted for somebody to be in parliament as an independent candidate, they would be in parliament for the whole period of the 5 years that they would be in parliament. But if you voted for a political party is able to change things. They're able to do things the way that they see fit. And this is where people are now saying, well, we should maybe look at our election system. How should things be working? Who should we be electing? And how long should that mandate that they have be there? And how do we actually call them back? Now, I don't have criticism against the MK party changing the parliamentary list. I don't have that criticism because I believe that it's important that parliamentary lists are checked. And when faults are found or things are found, these things should be changed and they should be communicated properly. But I see that there is a big media hoo-ha out there about the people being put on the list, saying that some of them were implicated in state capture, some of them were implicated in corruption, and a lot of people are saying all sorts of things. Now, I haven't dug into these cases, and I don't have any conclusive information that I can share with you. But I want to know from you, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Should you be electing the people that go to parliament for the next 5 years? Or should you be electing political parties that are run by individuals who would then elect people within the political party that would then elect people to go to parliament? I mean, this is politics. And as many of you know, politics is very tricky because it is a fight for the soul and the control of the country. So like in any other political party, there will be people that try and control the political party. And narratives from the ANC, I mean, the ANC in the last elective conference, people said that there was money that was paid to delegates, and those delegates then chose their people. So there's lots of things that need to be fixed within the party systems themselves. And this is why my thoughts are around the fact that when it comes to electing leaders in a political party, we should do things slightly differently from the way that they are done, because we cannot have systems that continue to perpetuate the same sort of electoral system that people then go back and complain about. And not actually change it. So I hope that within this next 5 years, we do hear more about how our elections are going to reform in South Africa. Now, some very sad news coming out of our country. Zanele has passed on, and she was a titan in our country. Many call her a legend, many call her an icon, some are calling her a hustler. This is somebody who I knew through the Crown Gospel Awards, and she ran those Crown Gospel Awards for many years. And she was also on Ukhozi FM and very well known within the gospel fraternity. And she passed on, and the family has confirmed. And I want to wish my condolences to her and her family during this time. You know, one of the things, or one of the reasons why we bring this to attention is because the gospel industry is the biggest music industry in our country. Firstly, by the South African government, this is information that shows that when it comes to religion in our country, this is what we have: 79.8% Christianity, and the rest are all listed there. So, and this is reflected within the gospel industry, because she was one of the leaders of the gospel industry. And if you look, gospel industry is the biggest industry in our country, and a lot of people have been pouring in their condolences for her. Now, gospel music is the biggest genre of popular music in South Africa. This popularity can be attributed to various elements that are integral part of the diverse South African democratic society. Now, if you look at it, you'll begin to understand that the reason why gospel music got to the heights that it got to was because of legends like Mams, Zanele, who did a really great job at making sure that gospel musicians are paid what they're supposed to be paid, they're given the exposure, and that they're actually given awards that actually recognize them. So somebody who came and really changed the way that things are done in our country. And kudos to her. And talking about gospel music, I went to a gospel concert over this past weekend, and my experience was not too pleasant. And I did share it on all my social media, on my Instagram and my Twitter. Go have a look at that video and let me know what you think about all of that. Now, we are in a very special place in South Africa. We've just had Miss South Africa. Now, if you don't know about what happened, let me catch you up. There was a lady called Chidimma whose parents were not South African, and they basically got her to be born in South Africa, and she was then hence a South African. And a lot of South Africans said that she made it to the finalists of Miss South Africa, and a lot of South Africans felt that it is unfair to have somebody who is not, whose parents are both not South African, to be in Miss South Africa, to represent South Africa. And this made a big stir all over in Nigeria. There were comments everywhere. And what happened was she then ended up dropping out of Miss South Africa. But the Home Affairs Department came back to say that her parents actually obtained the citizenship in South Africa in an illegal way. And, many South Africans then came out and said, you see, we knew that this sort of thing was happening. And I did ask a question to say, what are your thoughts in one of the last episodes? And many of you did comment with your thoughts. But what we began to see is one of the big musicians coming out of Nigeria, Burna Boy. He actually came and made a joke about this because South Africa, our new Miss South Africa, Mia, is a white woman and she does have a hearing impairment. And he then made a joke about this on his Twitter account. And he said, so after all that, and he's showing laughing emojis, and you can see he puts a picture of Miss South Africa. And a lot of people then spoke about this on Twitter. I mean, this was a big topic on Twitter. A lot of people are very unhappy about the way that he's doing this. A lot of people are very unhappy about what is being said. But for me, really, it came back to the fact that a lot of people sort of feel that the reason why South Africans were fighting against Chidimma participating is because they wanted a black South African to be the winner of Miss South Africa. And I don't think that's the case. I think South Africans were concerned about how they actually got the nationality, and also concerned about the fact that there are a lot of illegal foreigners that do dubious things to get citizenship, and as a result of that, many South Africans have to bear the brunt of that. And he made a joke about it on social media, and social media is literally abuzz with so many people saying so many different things about what they think about what he said and the joke that he believes was sharing. But I want to know from you, what are your thoughts? What do you think about our new Miss South Africa? Are you happy? I saw a lot of people saying that they're very happy about the fact that it's representative. It is somebody who does have a hearing impairment. And I saw a lot of parents coming out and saying they're very happy at the fact that disability is not seen as something that can stop somebody from winning a beauty contest like Miss South Africa. So what are your thoughts regarding that? Now, there is an episode called For This Reason that I have recorded. As many of you know, this is the channel. And on this week, we have a powerful episode. And I promise you, if you don't go and watch this episode, you're missing out. The channel is called For This Reason. And this is the episode that aired today. Go out there. How did the startup Electric come up?
Yes, you will have an education, but business was what I saw from an early stage.
So this thing is coming. Government needs to wake up and realize that this is a real thing.
Yes. Those first few months were really just the culmination of 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears to even start. If you compare the price of fuel with the price of electricity, you can just see the price of electricity is way less. And I think sometimes with all our problems, we forget that actually we do need to leave a world for our children that is functional, especially with this need to decarbonize. I mean, climate change is a reality.
Are we going to get rid of petrol and diesel?
Petrol vehicles are going to become like horses. You know, horses are for rich people.
Is it that electric vehicles would run on solar? Is that the plan? Do you think that we're going to get to that point?
He that sees the furthest will own the prize.
And that whole journey to where you are today, has it been worth it?
I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So this is an episode of For This Reason, and that's the podcast platform where we share different guests that come and inspire you. And I want to tell you something. I was really inspired by this episode. It's really a forward-thinking businesswoman that's trailblazing. She's come into a male-dominated industry and she's really doing amazing stuff. So go out there and check it out. It's under the For This Reason page. Make sure that you subscribe to that page and check out that interview. I'm telling you, it is so powerful. You learn so much. It's so impactful. And come and let me know what were your thoughts around that. Now, as we close off, I quickly want to highlight something that a lot of people have been asking me. A lot of people have been asking me, why don't we talk about international news? People have been asking to say, we want to hear about other countries. We want to hear about how they're doing things. We want a more global outlook. And a few people said to me that they watch BBC and CNN because they want to know about international news. And they said, we've stopped watching the news platforms in the country. We are now watching the way you narrate the news and give us the news. Can you give us a global outlook on things? And I've been thinking about it and I thought, you know what? It's important. Let's do that. So I'm going to be doing a couple of international news as well on this channel. So you'll be seeing some local news, South African news, and we'll be looking at some international news, looking at African countries, looking at what's going on and assessing what's happening all around the world. So I hope that I'll be bringing you excellent value about the different things that are going on all around the world. And yeah, so look out very soon. I'll be coming through with international news. And thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you help us immensely by commenting and subscribing. Thank you so much for joining us on our political show where we assess exactly what is going on in South Africa. Thank you.